Welcome to a special edition of Kitchen Chat, a taste of luxury, history, and hospitality. This is your host, Margaret McSweeney, and I am so glad you are joining me on this delicious journey. Today, let's visit Scotland. Our first stop is Cameron House on Loch Lomond. This modern baronial stone castle was owned by the Smollett family. Over the centuries, the Smollets hosted dignitaries such as Samuel Johnson, the Empress Eugenie of France, Princess Margaret, and even Winston Churchill. You can enjoy champagne on a boat cruise on Loch Lomond, walk the beautiful grounds, and even sip some of the 250 whiskeys at Great Scots Bar, or enjoy a James Bond-inspired martini. Elevate your palate with delicious dining options at the hotel. Enjoy an afternoon tea, I highly recommend that, with a bagpipe serenading you from the outside. Today, you will meet the delightful and award-winning chef Rohan Wadke on Kitchen Chat. I can't wait for you to hear about the delicious things going on at Cameron House. This is just a beautiful destination, and congratulations to Cameron House. Can you tell us about the very special Condé Nast Award?
Yes, as you see it, the Cameron House is one of the biggest and finest brand in this country. And when they Condé Nast, we won Reader's Choice Award last year, which was a fantastic recognition for the hotel in terms of guests, in terms of the people who are working here as a team. You know, it's literally appreciative for each and every person's hard work, which is going through to run this resort at a highest peak level, and which is a really great achievement in terms of hospitality and in the service industry.
Yes, so congratulations to Cameron House, but also congratulations to you, Chef. Speaking of awards, tell us about the incredible accolades you have been awarded in the culinary field.
So last 2 weeks ago, I was at British Culinary Championship in London, and then again, these competitions are always keep you moving, keep you understanding what's happening in the market, how the industry is changing, what are the new dimensions towards food is going, and also connecting with your fellow chefs, you know. Yes. So I went to British Culinary Championship there to participate in 3 different categories. One is Master Chef of the Year, which is you have to do a 3-course menu in there. You have to cook it. Again, it's all your kind of food coming from you, and it's all about the flavors. You know, it's about the presentation, but more about the flavors, because food is, for me, it's about the flavors. Yes. It has to taste right. You know, that's the key thing about it. So I got the gold medal in the Master Chef of the Year, which was really good. And all, as I said, the chefs coming all over from UK, and then gaining that gold medal, it's a really prestigious thing for me. And it's obviously it's a hard work at the same time, your understanding of your cuisine. Yes. You know, that's very important. And then also got the gold medal in shellfish category and the starter category. So that's again one of the big achievement for me to go there and won it. Again, the great feedback from the judges, and then again meeting fellow chefs, that's what kind of means a lot to me. And then the hard work, the logistics goes behind it. Yes. To doing these competitions, because I always say working in your day-to-day environment and going somewhere and try to implement your menu or implement your dish, to understanding in that particular hour what's happening, how the oven works, is that setting in the right temperature. So these are the elements actually go through, and thought process going behind it, you know, and then your execution. It's one of the key things, and then judges really impressed with the dishes. Yeah.
And so what dish did you make? What dishes?
So for the Master Chef of the Year, I done Penang style scallops with poddy chutney. So again, scallops, which is very Scottish to us. You know, you get one of the best seafood in Scotland. So I picked that one, and then going with the Penang style. So it's coconut based red curry sauce, going with curry leaf oil around it, and the poddy, it's a type of chutney which has come from southern part of India. So I make it with the 3 different variety of rice, which is wild rice, puffed rice, which is the white puffed rice, and the red puffed rice. So you toss them with some Kashmiri chili powder and some chaat masala on that. So that was give a crunch to the texture to the dish. And then this is a perfect harmony or a combination, I call it, which is a sweet succulent scallops goes with a mild coconutty based curry, and the crunchiness coming from the wild rice.
And this is just a little taste of all of the things that you make. Congratulations on winning. That's a wonderful accomplishment. And of course, being at the award-winning Cameron House as well. And you are a head supporting chef. So can you share with us about what a head supporting chef does?
The support head chef role, it involves day-to-day activity. It's always involved, and it always change in terms of what the business needs.
Yes.
Okay. So we got different outlets. So for example, we got La Vista, Tavern, Clubhouse, and we also got afternoon teas going on here. So these are the outlets and the grill. So I'm just overlooking on them and then going into them to making sure wherever the support needed. So that's the main role. And obviously at the other side, nurturing the young talented chefs coming through the door, making sure they understand, because end of the day, for me, it's understanding is very important, so that's what my main role is.
So something fun and unique you're doing here as well, the pop-ups. Tell us about that.
So again, that concept just started kind of growing when we used to have this Michelin restaurant here a couple of months ago, and then I had an opportunity to hand it over to me and then try to kind of run that restaurant for the next 3 months. So there's a concept we started as Culinary journey with Chef Rohan, so which is the food which is very rooted in here, which is locally supplied, but at the same time had an international influence on it. So that was the whole story behind it through doing that. So we done a 6-course tasting menu there for vegan, vegetarian, and a gluten-free, and plus a normal tasting menu, because we knew there is a huge demand and huge market for it. So you cannot kind of just blind eye for that one. So we done that 2 menus, wine pairing. And then we run it. So every course, as I said, it's either I had a childhood memory or I had a memory with them, or I learned from somewhere, and I developed that my own recipe on my own palate. So that's what I try to always try to get my food on a plate where I think if I'm happy to eat that in a restaurant, I'm happy to serve it. That's my philosophy behind the food. If I'm happy to pay, that's what I wanted to serve it there. So then we done a 6-course tasting menu there. So it started from a street food of India to going to Bangkok, getting them fantastic kaffir lime, and so all integrated parts of the ingredients. But again, making sure when we talked about the tasting menus and the spices, there are chances the spices can overlap on each other, because they might go dominant on each other. So you have to make sure there's a fine balance, how to balance that all the flavors together. And then one of the highlight of that menu was we done dalchini, which is cinnamon poached pear with 5-spice custard, which is very unusual. People some of the guests never actually thought they will try that, but as soon as they tried it, that's one of the highlight of the tasting menus there.
So what, the 5 spices in the custard?
Yes,
so
5 spices.
Yes.
So there are 5 different spices goes in there to grind it together, and then you make a custard.
Yes.
And then we poach the pear for 3 hours and leave them in that poaching liquor. So it got all, and you use muscovado sugar, which is a dark brown sugar. It gives more rustic and earthy flavor to the pear. So that's what we do with the pear, and then you take it out on the plate, and then you have a custard sitting on the bottom, and then something called puffed rice, which is you caramelize, we make it like a twill, so it gives a crunch to the dish, and then Madagascar vanilla ice cream goes on the side for that.
How beautiful. I love how this is called Culinary Journey with Chef Rohan, because you really are traveling and having the taste. And was that your special childhood memory? What did you reflect on the menu?
So one of the memories I always one of the dish was on the menu was chicken Manchurian. So Manchurian is an Indo-Chinese dish. So in India, one of the popular street food is Indo-Chinese. It's one of the popular street food in India. Obviously, if the Chinese person gonna eat that dish, he said, no, that's not Chinese, but that's an interpretation of Indian people of Chinese food. And then how food and people travel together. That's one of the good example of it. So eastern part of India is very close to China. And then their food is more about soya sauce, fish sauce, that kind of a version. And if I tell you today, there are community in India who actually eats day-to-day basis soya sauce and a fish sauce. You say, oh no, that's not right, but that's what it's all about, that culinary. And then this particular flavors, so as I mentioned, the sweet chili sauce, the soya sauce, the chili, ginger and garlic, use of strong flavor, which is whole. Because you always find ginger and garlic paste going inside the Indian food, but very rarely you'll find chopped ginger and garlic, which is you always find it in a more northern kind of that side region of China. And then as a kid, I remember when my dad used to come home in the evening, but not every day. I'm come from a very middle class family, so not every day we get the opportunity to go outside and eat it. But on the roundabout in the university circle, I come from a city called Pune. So there my dad used to take it, me and my brother there, and there is street vendors used to make this Indo-Chinese dish, and which is, I still remember the wok sound of sizzling and the open fire, and the guy is full emotions in there, so that's a memory I had it for that particular dish. So whenever I make that dish, it's very emotional, because obviously I still remember my dad taking us to that street vendor and having that dish. So it's a beautiful memory for me.
Oh, how beautiful. And you included that in your pop-up. That is fantastic. I know it's so important to you. This is a passion for you. Not only sourcing locally, and I can't wait to hear about all of the great things that you do, but you're involved in the slow food movement here in Scotland. Can you share with us about the sustainability, how Cameron House is really excited to promote that as well?
The Slow Food Scotland is basically involvement of the community where some of the danger, I would call it, some of the food or spices going existing. They are not, you will not find in a couple of generations. So we wanted to protect that. That's very, very important. And then they will go on the list of the archive. So it's called Ark of Scotland, and then
so
one of the
what
potato.
Are some things
so they are something like black potato in Shetlands. Okay, there are honey flowers. They come from, again, one of the very small island of Scotland they comes from. So they need to get nurtured, they need to get looked after. Then only they're going to exist for another couple of generations. Otherwise they're just going to go away. So in terms of educating people to understand what ingredients is all about, how we can implement into the day-to-day cuisine. So that's one of the key things about this. And then having involvement in that particular Slow Food Scotland is really a big pride for me. It makes a big difference because you're always looking after the small things, but taking the baby step for making sure it's going into the implementation and looking after it. So it's not just going away. So our next generation is also have the same benefits what we had. So that's very important. And then in Cameron House we do so many other things. Again, I always call this as a baby steps, because obviously sustainability or environment things, it always starts from you. Where we are sitting, how we approach it. Are we using the plastic bottles? Are we using the water cups? What kind of water cups you're using? So these kind of stuff. So coming back from the culinary team, the simple thing is we try to implement, for example, the peelings, the vegetable peelings, or the wastage. We always segregate our waste. The food waste goes separate, the recycling waste goes separate. We got a compactor outside, which is churn all the waste stock away, and then we got a local company which take our veg stock away. So which is again the oil. Loads of oil comes from the fryer. So again, one of the waste company, again it's a local waste company which come and collect it and recycle that oil again. So which is one of the great initiative. And then also small examples in terms of how we buy this stuff. So for example, if you wanted to buy the kitchen utensils, we always make sure it's a long lasting one. So something like La Crosse things, it's long lasting, So you're not buying something just for a couple of months just to run by. So you wanted to make sure when you buy it, it has to be environment friendly. The equipments or any utensils you're using it for the kitchen. So these are the very important things in Cameron House. And again, another examples, for example, is the coffee waste. So all the coffee beans, when they get powdered, it get collected by the local farmers for their fertilizers. So we donate them. So they come in and then they take it away. So it's not going inside the bins. So that's one of the good initiative again to just going forward in a kind of slow motion still I call it, but making sure it's getting it right and it's landing in the right place. So that's it's all about. Again, water cups, for example, last 10-15 years, everybody more aware of sustainability, more aware of environment, I would call it. And the COP26 happened the COP happened in Glasgow. It was a big event. Everybody know about Glasgow that time because it happened in Glasgow first time. So on the front office, we do a couple of things. For example, is the coffee cups. The coffee cup lid used to be the plastic ones. Sure. So now it get replaced with the cardboard ones. So there are, again, the small examples, as I said, so just to move ourselves forward in terms of getting more environment friendly. Yeah.
Of course.
And then another prime example is we got honeybees.
Yes, honeybees are here at Cameron House. Tell us about that.
So I cannot disclose the location where they are because they are not touristic attractions. They wanted their own space.
Sure.
So we got some honey hives, beehives in there in Cameron House location. And the beekeepers comes in, collect the honey once in a year, especially end of the summer season.
Yes.
Because beehives need bushy kind of things, away from hustle and bustle, they want the right amount of nectars around it so they can collect it and then go back and then collect all that honey for us. And then these beekeepers produce the honey for us. And I mean, sitting here, I will take a big pride because every bottle we sell, the 2 pounds goes to beehive community to protect them, at the same time keep the project going.
So this is for sale at the hotel, and it's so lovely. So it's single origin honey. So that means everything in-house or on property.
Exactly,
yes. Beautiful. So foraging is also very important to you. Can you share with us about your passion for foraging?
Again, the foraging, as I said, I come from a region or a city in India where in the evening, we always used to go on the mountains foraging, and we always connect to the nature, and then after especially in the hospitality for over 20 years now. So foraging, it's one of the key part, and then again, it's all about your garden fingers, or that's what I call it. That's what you need it, And then at the Cameron House, we had at the car park, we done 6 beds in there. It's just recently kind of just installed, and then we are planning there now is a herb garden, which is, again, you'll find the soft herbs going, which is the variety of herbs like sage, thyme, oregano, that kind of stuff will go there. So that's literally in the pipeline. So within 1 or 2 months, that will get complete. So that's the first step to moving forward for our herb garden.
That is great. So it's like a farm to table.
Farm to table, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that is so exciting. Any other dishes that you love presenting or having presented here at Cameron House?
I mean, if I not talk about that dish, I would be here today, which is haggis, nips and tatties, okay?
Okay, so I've never tried haggis.
Right. So there are 3 elements goes in that dish. That dish is on our banqueting selecting menu, okay? It goes with a nice 12-year-old whiskey sauce, so it's fantastic dish. Again, if you come to Scotland, you have to try this dish. The nips is your turnip or a swede you call it, and the tatties, which is a Scottish word for potatoes.
Oh,
okay. So tatties are potatoes. Okay, so that's a great combination. So this lamb intestines, which is get minced through some spices and oats together, and then it comes. It's more like a black pudding. And then you either steam it or pan-sear it, either way. And then it goes 3 layers of haggis on the bottom, potatoes, which is called tatties. Again, we have fantastic local producers. Potatoes comes in here and Cameron House, and then the sweet goes on the top, and then we have a nice creamy whiskey sauce going around it. So it's one of the dish you need to try it, definitely.
Okay, I'm going to try haggis for the very first time here at Cameron House. You mentioned whiskey, and there's a distillery on property or close by?
Close by, yes.
Close by.
One of the afternoon tea date tarts, which is we use the whiskey. It's come luckily from stone throw away from this property of Cameron. It's called a Loch Lomond Distillery. Yes. So it's coming from them. It's a 12-year matured whiskey, which has got a good spicy note on it. And it goes inside that date tart, and then they name that whiskey. It's one of the islands. Literally, you can see from here. So they name that whiskey of that island.
I love that. And speaking of afternoon tea, I'm excited to be having that today. What is your favorite part about the afternoon tea program here?
I mean, afternoon teas are always good to relax yourself with a cup of tea if you're a tea lover, 100%. And then again, we always try to keep it with the local sources. So for example, we always got in summertime especially, which is just now, we got soft berries, for example, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, or in a local language we call brambles. Yeah, so they goes on the menu, it goes on the cakes, and then whiskey, which is coming from very local supplier, as I mentioned, and then everything get in-house made, so which is absolutely fantastic, and that's what we are very, very proud of.
And it's amazing because whiskey, we don't typically have whiskey with afternoon tea in the United States, so this is really expanding my palate here. And I understand there's a whiskey ice cream.
Yes,
as well, that's been on the menu.
Yes,
so
it's whiskey ice cream on the menu.
I would love for the viewers and listeners to hear about what your incredible culinary journey has been, why you decided to become a chef. It's just such a touching story about why you decided to go into the culinary.
I mean, from very frank to you, from my family, nobody's in the culinary. Okay, when I still remember the day I mentioned to my dad, I said I wanted to become a hospitality professional person, wanted to become a chef. The only word I know is a chef. That's what I know before I entering. Went to my home, and then I said to my dad, I said, I think I got selected for this particular college. My dad didn't believe it. He said, no, we got to go and check it again. So we went there, checked it, and then realized, okay, I got the admission in one of the top hospitality institute in India. So again, mentioning that is nobody from a family background. That means it's always that breaking your journey, making sure because when you enter any field, you not have 100% understanding of it, because if you don't have a base for it, then you need to build a base for that one. You know, that's one of the thing. But in my family, cooking is always a prime part, you know, because all the conversation, all the connections, all the family friends or my friends coming, so it's all about the food, you know, it's all related to food. And then my memories with the food is always starting very early age. Mom is cooking in the morning, having fresh lunch, then fresh dinners, you know, have a best chicken curries in the Sunday lunch time, not the chicken roast maybe, but have a curries on the Sundays, and then other days fish curries or a fish supper, that kind of stuff to have it. So food is very, very integrated part of me. But to understand it, I do have that passion for it, because it's more like a craft to go and then try to nurture yourself, try to understand what you wanted. So then after the school and colleges, I decided to go for this particular field called hospitality. Took the 4 years degree program in India, done that one, and then I went to Taj Mahal Hotel Mumbai. It's one of the biggest properties in India. Yes. So I worked in there for 6 months as an industrial trainee to give a complete eye-opener what exactly happening in the industry or how the hotel runs, you know. And I think that 6 months was enough to understand whether that's the one you wanted to do it, or is it something else you would like to do it in your life. And that particular trainings gives me a lot of opportunity, because in school I didn't had any confidence at all, you know. I mean, if I dreamed let's say 25 years ago, and if somebody told me I will sitting here in Cameron House and having a podcast with you, I would say no, that's just on a paper, it's not going to be true. But again, these are the opportunities, you know, and I always believe in just keep working hard, you know,
Yes.
as simple as that. There is no substitute for that. You just keep on working basically, just to understand the whole scenario around it.
Yes.
So I took that admission that time, went, done the industrial training for a couple of top hotels in India, started working in India, and then moved to Scotland.
Yes, I'd like to end Kitchen Chat with 3 tips for the home chef.
So again, as I said, I always believe in trial and error. Okay,
Yes.
If you're a home cook, if you're doing something at home, I think try to avoid buying something very in a bulk. So, for example, big bottle of soya sauce, big bottle of honey. I think sometimes you don't need it. You only need a small portions because it's gonna sit on your shelf for another 6-8 months, and then it's gonna get expired, and then it's landed in the bin. So I think sometimes it's always implement that style and a routine where you understand, because coming back to the potato story, so if you wanted to do a mashed potato for example, you always look for a drier potato. So when you cut the potato, as soon as you cut the potato, you know, the water around it, it shows you, it gives a sign how much actually water in that potato. You know, if the water is coming more, and then you always find the bigger chunky potatoes comes in a 5 kilo, 6 kilo bags, they always have more water content because the yield is less in that one. Okay, that's one of the reason they can mass produce, but then when you go home, you can only have that much, because when you sweat it down, cook it down, you have that. And there's something called Ayrshire potato, which is very locally available here. We use that for our mashed potatoes, which is nice and dry, you know, less water content. Okay. So again, going back to cooking at that kind of particular potato, you can steam them with the skin on, because the skin will protect it. You can just cut them into half, put them in a steamer, and then you just peel it up, and then mashed potato with some salt, pepper, butter, and a cream. You know, that kind of things.
Great. And best onion for curry?
Curries is, I would suggest, is the red onions. Yeah, there are red onions, very good for the curries, you know. They make you cry, but they are the best ones.
Very emotional cooking.
Yes, very emotional cooking. Cooking is all about emotion.
And any other important curry tip for the last tip for the home chef?
Curry tips is, there are 2 different spices which is highlight your cooking if you want to use it curry. Okay, the Indian cuisine have cinnamon, cloves, peppercorns. When you have a curry, it will hit you on the throat. It will not hit you on the tongue. You start feeling the spiciness going around in the throat. Okay, so you have to balance that spices going in your food. So you need to understand how much to put it. If you put extra cinnamon, it's gonna make the whole curry flavor cinnamony, and then it's just gonna throw it in there because it's got the spiciness coming from cloves and peppercorns. If you're talking about the Malaysian, Thai, Indonesian kind of curries, they are coconut-based curries. The bird's eye chilies, when you have a sip of a curry, let's say a red Thai curry, the bird's eye chili hit you on the tongue. And then it mellow it down because of the coconut, because the body or the flavors, it's got it, you know, it's just gonna hit you and it's gonna mellow down. So again, so many varieties of these chilies and the spices available just to balance it right, which is absolutely key to this part, you know. And that's why I said, don't just try to bulk buy sometime. Right, you know, again, one of the example is we buy dark soya sauce and dark soya sauce and light soya sauce, but light soya sauce gives more flavor to the food than the dark soya sauce. Dark soya sauce gives a caramelized texture and a color, but light soya sauce got all the saltiness, so you don't need a seasoning.
Amazing, all of these great insights and tips. And dear foodie friends, I encourage you to come to Cameron House and meet Chef Rohan and taste the deliciousness that is prepared here, and join him for his culinary journey, or journeying around the world with the pop-ups. That is so much fun. Thank you for sharing your wonderful stories, and I think there's so much depth and flavor here about life balance in all aspects, not only food but your own life as well. So thank you again.
No,
Chef.
thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
And thank you, dear foodie friends, for joining me on this special series of Kitchen Chat, a taste of luxury, history, and hospitality. Here's the information for you to plan a trip to Cameron House on Loch Lomond. And always remember to take a moment and savor the day.